Days passed. They were locked in separate huts. No food, no light, no hope. Then, on the 7th day, Grandma Uluwaku stood before the council. Her hair was tied in black. Her hands trembled, not with weakness, but with truth. She held in her hand an old, tattered veil, yellowed with age. "This," she said, "was mine. A veil I was meant to wear for the man I loved, Obinna's uncle." She looked directly at the chief. "But you were the one who stopped it. You forged the blood pact. You silenced our love in the name of peace. But it was always fear." Gasps rang through the crowd. "You created the veil," she continued. "You placed it between our children, between our hearts. And now, the same curse tries to claim them." Suddenly, a great wind swept through the square. The sacred flame, burning since the start of the ritual, went out. The masks on the wall fell. The villagers gasped. The elders looked shaken. Even the chief turned pale. It was a sign, clear as the sun. Obinna and Nneka were brought forward, still in chains. But the people were no longer shouting. They were silent, listening. Grandma Uluwaku placed the old veil over Nneka's head, not as a surrender to custom, but as a reclaiming of what was once stolen. "Let love speak," she said, "and let the past no longer curse the living." The blood pact was declared broken. The lovers were freed. And for the first time, the village of Umuosala saw that the veil between them was never the gods. It was fear, silence, and secrets. And now, it was gone. The morning after the chains were broken, the village of Umuosala awoke not with drums, but with silence. Not the kind that signaled fear or judgment, but the kind that comes when a storm has passed and the air finally breathes again. For the first time in generations, there was no veil between choice and tradition, between truth and silence, between love and duty. Nneka stepped out of the hut where she'd been imprisoned. Her face, though bruised with exhaustion, held a quiet strength. In her hand, she still held the old, torn veil Grandma Uluwaku had wrapped around her. Not as a bride, but as a woman who chose herself. Obinna waited at the edge of the river, just as he had the first time they met. His eyes lit up the moment he saw her. "You came," he whispered. "I was always coming," she replied. "The path just needed to be cleared." They sat side by side, legs dipping into the water, the same stream that once held their secret smiles and shared fears. But this time, they were not hiding. Behind them, Grandma Uluwaku stood watching, leaning on her cane. Her eyes were moist, but not from sorrow. For decades, she had carried a story buried under culture's weight. A story of the boy she never got to marry, the name she never called out loud, the love she buried alive. Now, watching her granddaughter live freely, she knew something sacred had been restored. Later that day, the villagers gathered, not by command of the chief, but out of curiosity. They came not to witness punishment, but transformation. Chief Ese Akajiaku stepped forward. His usually proud shoulders looked smaller. His voice had lost its thunder. "We were taught to fear the gods more than we feared injustice," he began. "We were wrong." He turned to Obinna and Nneka. "The gods do not fear love. It is we who did." There was no grand announcement, no ritual, just stillness, then clapping. A few at first, then more. Children cheered, women ululated, and an elder stepped forward with a blessing. "Let this be the new story our children learn, not one of shackles, but of courage." That night, Nneka and Obinna sat beneath the Udala tree. He played the old flute he once carved for the river spirits. She braided his hair, laughing as she told him the stories she once dreamed of telling her future children. Sala didn't become perfect that night. The elders still debated. Some still whispered about tradition and change. But one thing had shifted permanently. A veil had been lifted. Not just between Obinna and Nneka, but between generations. Love is not the enemy of tradition. Silence is. And sometimes, the bravest thing a heart can do is speak. We did not break the veil. We simply saw through it and chose to love anyway.